Built Better, the podcast for home improvement contractors by Modernize Home Services.
Welcome to Built Better, a podcast by Modernize Home Services, where we explore and highlight trends and topics around contractor marketing. I'm Don Pucci, Director of Account Management at Modernize, and your host. By my side is co-founder of Modernize, Mr. Chris Pallatroni. Well, hey, Chris, it's another day, and in fact, it is a Tuesday, so you know what that means. It's Taco Tuesday in Austin. So the listeners don't know this, but I've been through 2 air fryers at this point through COVID. And I got to say, my second air fryer is legit. So I'm excited to cook up some chicken and avocado tacos today. So how you feeling? What's going on with you?
That's crazy. We're actually having tacos at our house as well tonight, Dom. So I'll think of the Pucci family as the Pallatroni family is eating on tacos. But no, today is great. February 9th. We are in fast February. Can you believe that? A couple days and March 1st will be here. Favorite time of the year, spring. But
yeah, you got a pretty sizable garden waiting for those flowers to bloom there again.
That is true. For the listeners that can't see my garden here, I've got like 700 plants on the property. So I am a big green thumb. I'll be taking photos of flowers and smelling Daphnes and all that good stuff. So you know me. But it's such a good time of year. It's been nice out here in Northern California as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit jealous. My wife wants me to work on my green thumb, so I have some questions for you that we'll take offline here. But I belabor the point here. Let's kind of get into, because we only have limited time for these things, right? So I want to introduce our guest today and kind of tell you guys about the topic that I'm pretty pumped about. I'm usually excited about these things here. This is a topic of conversation that I've had with many a marketing director, C-level, and sales manager for contracting companies along my course of time here at Modernize. On today's episode, we join forces with Jamey Vumback, CEO and founder of Get The Referral, to remind us how we build relationships with customers during the project experience, as well as after the project is completed. It's really, critical to building a community of advocates for your business. So before I introduce Jamey, I want to give you a little bit of background on him. Get The Referral is it's an app platform. Not only helps home improvement businesses increase their customer referrals, but also helps them to continue to build relationships with current and past customers. So this app allows your business to provide project updates, store homeowner files, and really request the referrals right on the platform there. And there's a lot more there as well as we unpack. So Jamey, he's got years of experience leading his own solar company. The word of mouth is really a tremendously valuable means of marketing and driving more homeowners to business, right? I mean, as any contractor knows, your referral business is free and it's really important, right? So in 2014, Jamey launched the app to allow any business to have a cost-effective automated method that easily drives high-quality word-of-mouth referrals to you. And thus, Get The Referral was born, right? So that's Jamey. I just want to welcome you to the show. I really appreciate you making the time for us today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dom. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on as well. It's I always get excited about talking about referrals. I know it's kind of nerdy, but hey, you know what? It's such an important part of everybody's business, right? Any business out there, they're going to say, hey, I got word of mouth, right? And there's one term I use all the time, and it's you don't know what you don't know. And with Get The Referral, it really helps you understand the opportunity that's out there. And I say that because there's opportunities being missed every single day by a lot of contractors, because when you do a great job and work really hard for a customer and then they go and tell their friend, well, guess what? You're waiting for that customer to come to you, right? They'll either look you up online, to maybe call you, have the sales rep's business card or something like that. So what we really do well is close that loop. And when a customer is telling somebody else about your services and what a great experience they had, it closes the loop and you get that information so you can start working those leads right away. So just being able to close that loop and providing customers with the opportunity to, not only have a small percentage of their business coming from word of mouth, but actually use it as a driver and really expanding on opportunities through word of mouth. So.
Yeah, Jamey, I think in my conversations with C-levels and sales managers, there's a common theme that typically comes up whenever they're, going on sales calls and closing deals. It feels like we're being pushy. Somehow we've got a homeowner to raise their hand and say, yes, I want to buy your product. This is great. Can't wait to get it installed. Can it get installed yesterday? Right. So you've got this person engaged and you've sold them. Right. But you don't go the extra step to just say, hey, do you have any friends or family that would like this service as well? We just had a hailstorm. You got, a quad pane window we just installed. We're going to save you so much money. Is there anybody else that would love that service? And then usually the rationale is we're being too pushy, right? We're being too salesy. It's not within our ethos or our operating, mantra. Like we like more organic stuff. And it just seems like this is such a big area of a miss. So I'm kind of really excited to talk to you today because this is, I just believe in what your company is doing to make it more accessible to get these contractors kind of to see that portion of how they can expand their marketing.
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up because, one of the stats that we kind of talk about all the time too is, and it lines up with what you just said, only 11% of salespeople ever ask for a referral. That goes to that missing component that we don't even know what we're missing because only 11% of salespeople ever ask. Now, there's a lot of different reasons why they don't ask. Some of it, can be that they don't want to feel too pushy, but it's so true. So it's all about getting your sales reps engaged in the process, right? Giving them a what's in it for me as a sales rep. Why should I take these steps to ask these questions? What does it mean for me, not just now, but next week, 6 months from now, a year from now? And so what we've done with our platform is we've actually integrated the opportunity for the sales rep to be part of that process. So when a contracting company comes and uses our program, they make it part of their sales process, first of all, right? The second thing is when a customer signs up to be an advocate of that particular company, they're selecting the rep of record, which means me as a sales rep, I can build a whole network of advocates out there. And I know that whether it's today or tomorrow, 6 months or a year from now, if a referral comes in, I'm getting that information because I have my own dashboard. I get an email notification. I can track them. And it really gets the sales reps engaged and gives them a reason to really want to, ask that question. And the whole point of what we do is not, ultimately we're a referral platform. All right. So I'm not going to, walk away from that. That's the main thing. But the critical component that we really want to do is we want to connect companies with their customers at their fingertips, where and whenever, they have an opportunity to connect with them. And we do it through a branded application. So the company will have their own branded app. And then from there, what we want to do is from the point of sale to delivery and beyond, right? Let's give that customer the absolute best experience they can absolutely ever have by utilizing technology, right? Integrating simple technology in order to communicate and engage with customers from point of sale to delivery and beyond is the key to being really successful in the word of mouth world. So.
Hey, Jamey, I'm curious when it comes to the app, and just correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still kind of learning your guys' business, but it sounds like in a lot of ways there's like some pipeline management for the salespeople, right? To kind of take ownership of the customers they sign. And correct me if I'm wrong. It's the salespeople that are essentially using that tool to kind of foster referrals coming in. Is that accurate? The way I'm getting that?
Yeah. So the nice thing is we integrate with any CRM. So as a lead comes in from a customer, let's talk about the referral piece of it. As a lead comes in from the customer, it's going to come into our system, right into their CRM. And as they move that lead through the different stages, it's going to update in their CRM and in our system, and it actually notifies the customer, the person who referred the customer or their friend is getting updated on those referrals. So one of the things that we found was we'd get calls all the time when I was running my solar business is, hey, I referred this customer and I saw you put solar on their house. How come I didn't get my reward for that and such? And so with this, the sales rep actually is keeping their advocate in the loop as to what's going on with that referral. And as well as I mentioned, the point of sale, We also have project management status update. So we once again integrate with their CRM, and it's automated. So as you move that that customer through the different stages of the project, and now from that point on, let's just say permit received, installation scheduled, you're going to have up to 9 or 10 different stages that customer is going to go through. Each time that the customer gets to a different stage, it's updated in the CRM and in the application. They're getting a push notification. They can go into the app and actually see what stages there have been completed, what the next stage is. So it's all about, communication and engagement from point of sale, and automating it so that it's simple for the company and or sales rep to stay engaged through either push notifications, text messaging, and so on and so forth.
Gotcha. I have one more follow up on that. So that makes a lot of sense for the salesperson, and kind of the transparency factor as to like making sure that their customers are being messaged. Maybe take a step back from like a more like management perspective. Like, are they able to get insight as to, just talk a little bit, like, are there any analytics to back up like the effectiveness of that for a manager that's got a team of 10 to 100 salespeople out there? What's that look like?
Yeah, that's a great point, because what within our dashboard, you're able to track all of your sales reps. So every sales rep is listed. So when a customer signs up, they're going to select from a list of sales reps, and each of those sales reps are tracked back to the company, and they're going to be able to list how many how many advocates they have, how many projects are in progress, how many referrals have come in, how many have been sold, how many have been verified. So what we work with companies, because we actually do sales training for the companies when we onboard them, and we get them, to make it part of the process, but it's also, you can actually incent your sales reps, and have contests on a monthly or weekly basis that drives more focus on getting more advocates and more referrals. And you're able to track each of your sales reps at all different levels to see how they're doing, and so on and so forth. So,
you mentioned 11% of salespeople actually ask for the referral. Do you have a metric of before and after, right? So if your baseline is 11%, when you implement your product, where does that go to from there?
Yeah. So what we're seeing is when it's implemented across the board for the sales team and the company's making it part of their process, we're seeing close to 70 to 80% of the sales reps participate, in the process of getting referrals, because it's all about, driving numbers and sales, right? If they see their, the sales rep down the street here getting all these referrals because it's tracked, it's in front of them, they gamify it, right, in a way that gets all of the sales reps engaged. So you're seeing a much higher percentage of sales reps now engaged in that process of not only signing up a customer for referrals, but for the project status management, right? So it's really what I really like about doing it. Like, think about it, if you're at the kitchen table or at a virtual, a deal, closing a deal, you can actually take the customer through what their expected journey is going to look like. Say, okay, now that we've had our contract signed, let's go ahead and download our application under our branded name. Now, let me show you what your journey is going to look like, right? Here's all the stages of your project. This is what to expect. We're going to let you know every step of the way. And oh, by the way, we're actually going to be able to store your documents on here. So any warranty information, any contract information is all stored in the app. And you can write a review. You can, share it with your friends and family. Each advocate has a share referral form that they can simply just click on and send on Facebook or Twitter. And they can actually now not only get your friends and family of that individual customer, but also generate opportunities through, their social media. So now you're exponentially increasing your opportunities to get referrals. And now it's all tracked back to that advocate and that salesperson. So that connection between the sales rep and the customer becomes vital, for future opportunities.
Right. That's an incredible just from the data perspective, right? 11 to over 70%. But not only that, I mean, the other side of the coin that you mentioned, you're creating a platform there that the homeowner can actually have more trackability into what's happening with their relationship with that contracting company, right? So like if that's a contracting company that, I know from what I've done on my home, like, getting contractors and then like all the different little projects that I have around the house is like, I don't remember. And if I forget to store them in my phone, or if I like, if I don't actually keep it organized, I just don't. What was the plumber I used? A couple months back. It's just like it's so hard out there for homeowners, to keep track of this stuff, right? So it's a huge portion that I didn't think of going into this conversation, right?
Yeah. Being able to market to customers that you've serviced in the past, whether it's for service later on down the road, if it's solar, it's cleaning or whatever, windows, doors, now they're going to, market to that same folks through the application. And the nice thing about our app too is with each product, you can reward them, whether it's a percentage of the job, a fixed dollar amount, a tiered amount. But the nice thing about it is each advocate has their own wallet within the application. So when that referral gets moved to sold, they've actually earned that dollar amount. And so now the company can now pay them directly through the application. So I get this question all the time. They say, how are you going to keep customers, keeping the app on their phone? Well, I don't delete Venmo or PayPal that I have money on, right? I keep it on there. And so by having the app and the wallet within the application, they're always going back to the wallet to either transfer their money to their bank. We have over 220 gift cards that they can choose from. So it keeps them engaged. And then that subtle, maybe once a month push notification, just thanking them for their business or reminding them who they are. We send out monthly reports. It's all automated to all their advocates, how many referrals, how much they've earned, how much they did in the last 30 or 60 days. So it's keeping the customers, engaged in that ongoing, just in front of you, just subtly makes a huge difference. And what we found is, and we see this number going up over the last couple of years, is for every advocate that you sign up, you should get at least 1.5 referrals over a 12-month period. And, our goal is to get that to 2 or 2.5 over the next 12 to 24 months. But we have seen that going up over the last 6 to 8 months during the pandemic. What we're seeing is a lot of companies now are engaging with their customers virtually or remotely through the application. Customers are happier. They're having a better experience. They're sending more referrals. So we've actually seen a dramatic increase in our business as well as our clients' business through referrals because of the pandemic, and just being able to engage, remotely and virtually is really important. So,
Jamey, those are some great insights. I've had a thought that coming into this podcast, and I just want to kind of call it, because I think most contractors would say well, duh, of course I get referrals. That's the lifeblood of my company, right? And, having been on the sales side of our business for so long, and we leads to contractors, it's what we do. Those are not referrals per se, at least in the traditional sense. And, I would always tell contractors, the name of the game is to get more people you've done work for to refer their friends to you. That is the name of the game. It's not, I want to be clear, it's not to go buy leads. It's not to throw a billboard up. It's not to put your name on a shopping cart. I mean, we do all those things as contractors, but we do them because we don't have enough work to sustain our crews, to sustain our growth and so forth. And so I think, for anybody listening, the idea of capturing a referral is very ancient, very tribal, right? It's kind of, we've been doing it for years. That's the name of the game. However, I'll say this on a personal story, and I won't mention names because I know so many contractors, but there is a gentleman that's not too far from us that I've utilized for services before. And we're good friends. I know the owner. I go in the office. I'm sitting down with him. He's, used our service and so forth. And eventually I chose to do work with him. I knew the guy and I needed that type of work. I had built a relationship. And so I come back into his office about 6 months after I had this work done, right? Loved the work. I thought the guys did a great job and whatnot. And we're sitting there and, we're going through leads and we're talking about how to work them and so forth. And I'm like, I say, the owner's name. I'm like, hey, I was like, this isn't complicated. You just have to do these basic things consistently. And I use the example of the referral. I said, look, dude, you're a $15 million, $20 million company. You want to be 50. I was like, but do you send a thank you letter to every customer you do work with? And by no means is that thank you letter as sophisticated as what you guys got going on. But the point being is it's just something simple. It's the start of the process. And I was like, I spent $50K with you between me and my buddy, and I didn't get no thank you letter, Mr. Owner. And I'm sitting at the table with him and he's kind of looking at me and I'm like, this is a problem. You should go look in your system.
Yeah, we actually help them mechanize it, right? And make it simple. That's, simple is the key to it, and simplicity, right? So if we can make it easier for them to do these things and automate it as much as we possibly can, the customers, the contractors are it's just going to naturally grow for them. And so it's all about the ability to try and make it simple for them. And if we can do that, they're going to get more referrals. There's no doubt about it. And we've seen it time and time again. And it's just so important for them to do those simple things, like you said. And where I think it's a lot of value, obviously Modernize and what you guys do, for every lead that, you provide to a contractor, just think about the multiple on that, right? One lead, they buy one lead, can actually turn into 3 or 4 if they have a mechanized procedure on the back end to now take that and multiply it, right? So that one lead might have cost X, their ROI on that is X, but now you multiply it by 3 new customers because that customer referred them to 3 other people, or even 2. It just, their multiplier becomes so much larger. So, from a contractor standpoint, if you're buying a lead, you better have something in place that's going to help you stay top of mind with that customer and make it easy for that customer to send a referral. Because most people, psychology wise, want to share a good experience that they had with their friends and family, whether they're at a picnic or a party, whatever. And, I'll tell a quick little story because it's kind of just almost what you guys were talking about. Was in my house up in Central California. When we were up there, we had a big pergola out in back, and, I had this beautiful big Italian kitchen, and we had, some people over, and they were asking me, "Hey, who did your pergola?" And I'm going, it was about 6 months ago. I'm going, who the heck was this? I can't remember who the company was. I actually had to climb up behind, and they had a tiny little sticker up in the back corner that I had to go, "Oh yeah, that's the name of them." And I, provided the name, but they became a customer of ours down the road. So they don't need to do that anymore. But so true, simple things that you can stay top of mind with your customers.
Jamey, that's so true, man. I can identify with that 100% as a homeowner. We have these conversations all the time. I mean, I run a team of account managers, and a lot of what we do is consulting to contracting companies to help them operationally. Most of the time, it's kind of the front end. How do you just get in touch with homeowners to begin with, right? How do you set up your call centers? What's the most efficient ways that you can get in contact with homeowners? Email campaigns, text, all those types of things, right? But rarely do they see the value when we pitch, hey, listen, a referral multiplies your marketing, reduces your marketing costs so that you can then leverage that same dollar that you're investing in a lead source and go get another lead source or get more market share, right? I mean, oftentimes I'm talking to marketing directors and they're spending 10, 15, 20% of the job on marketing, right? And there's absolutely no attribution after that initial inquiry, right? But what if you had a good system in place? And sorry, I don't want to make this sound too much like an infomercial. I just get all jazzed because this is powerful stuff, right? But what if you had a system in place where you just streamline the process? If you're dialing leads, through automation, or you're emailing through automation to get that homeowner on the phone. But what if on the back end, once you sold that homeowner, what if you can automate the whole process from there and make sure that your sales team multiplies that dollar that you just spent, right? What would that do? Could you open up another lead source? Could you open up another office, maximizing all those types of things? So I think this is powerful. And as a person that loves gamification, I would love to kind of dig into your thoughts on kind of how that pitch typically occurs with the ROI. And then second, can we dig into how you gamify the sales approach a little bit more?
Yeah, it's all about getting them engaged, right? And being able to make it, once again, I'll go back to simplification, make it easy for them to see from a sales rep perspective. I mean, as we all know, salespeople are very competitive, and simple, gamification within the platform can be accomplished through the data that we collect, right? And, we can set it up so that the sales reps are now, presented every time that they open up their app, from a sales rep perspective, to show that, where are they in the line of order? Am I number one? They're going to be pretty proud, right? They're going to want to go get more. And if you're at the bottom of the barrel, guess what they're going to do? They're going to start looking for ways. Hey, how did you do that? Just creating that competitiveness amongst the sales folks and being able to track it, right? You can try and do that. When I had my solar company, it was so hard to track. We had Google Sheets and checks going out and customers calling us 6 months later and saying, oh, hey, I referred that customer. You never paid me. And I'm like, well, you never told us. The sales rep never told us. So making that all easy. And then you start really, driving your sales team in order to make sure that they made it part of their process. And that's a key part of it. Whether they use our platform or not, making sure that the sales rep has that method of follow-up in the sales process is just critical. So.
Yeah, you mentioned a great point there, Jamey. And I've walked through a number of call centers. So whether we're trying to track referrals or we're trying to track calls that an agent makes, I think just the idea of bringing awareness and visibility to it is so critical. What you just described as a habit tracker, it's a scoreboard in a lot of ways, right? And it's the probably one of the single greatest things that motivates us as people is seeing some sort of progress in some visual way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of companies are still missing out on that energy of just, man, all you got to do is just show who's winning the race, right? Like human competition and tendency just kicks in. Like nobody wants to be the weak link. Most of us are wired to try to be like, hey, how'd they do that? So I think anytime you can just bring some visibility to what's going on with referrals is huge. I would also argue, and you made a statement earlier, I don't know how accurate the numbers are, but just if you can think about it, if you're a contractor and we're talking about an average of a $10,000 job, and the idea that a referral could produce another half a customer at a minimum, right? Upwards to a full customer. These guys are spending 15, 20% cost of marketing. You can easily do the math and kind of lay that out that, a half a referral can be worth $500 to $800, a half a referral, right? Not to mention all those other things that kind of build off of that. And so I think that's just a powerful thing to kind of look at the numbers and just put it out there. And it's like, man, what would we do for $500, $800, if we had that to spend? And I think it justifies kind of investing in this. I'm curious from your perspective, Jamey, and I'd love to talk about kind of the customer journey. You mentioned it a little while ago, and I just can't help but think that, getting a referral is not, and correct me of my naiveness, it feels like it's not meant to be just this event that happens at the end, right? It's just like, it's this buildup. I realize it may happen at the end, but I don't think it's meant to be this monumental moment. I feel like if done correctly, and this is where I'd love your opinion, is you're building up to it. It's a story. It's hey, this is our intent. We want you, we need you to send us 1 to 2 of your friends. Our intent as a company is to deliver that type of service where you feel compelled to do that. Help me understand, where do you work with the company in the journey, if you will?
So, as part of our best practices, we've collected a lot of data over the last 6 or 7 years we've been doing this, and being able to share best practices with our contractors has been invaluable for us, right? Being able to show that difference of having a part of your process versus not. And the contrast between a company, because what we always do is we do an ROI analysis for our customers. So we can basically tell you how many referrals you're going to have over the next 12 months, depending on how many sales reps you have, how many meetings in a given month, because all that data adds up. And then we put them, and we say, here's your ROI data, here's your KPIs per se, of what you need to do over the next 12 months. And then we help them track that. And where we see them starting to fall off a little bit, we jump in and help them say, okay, maybe they got a new sales manager. Maybe they need some additional training. So we're actually watching that in real time on the back end. And our account management team is going out and reaching out to these folks and, letting them know, first of all, how they're doing against the industry benchmarks, right? How are these companies reacting or producing based off of what we're seeing as far as best practices. Not only at a sales rep level, we're doing it at a company level. We're not sharing specific names or anything, but we're sharing this information. So listen, you're falling behind the rest of the industry in the number of referrals that you're getting in a certain period of time. And they go, well, what do you mean? How do I get more, right? And so we start this training process, sharing of best practices, and really giving them the data and the information that they need to be more effective. And a lot of times it's just a little tweak or two here and there that gets them back on track. Once again, it's, possibly that they got a new salesperson or they sales rep or, something like that, where they just need a little bit more training. And we always ask for a referral champion in every office. So having somebody's going to champion this. Now, of course, the owner, they paid for the service. They want to make sure it works, right? But as we know, as business owners, you get busy. So, making sure you have somebody within that office that's a referral champion that really understands the system and how to go about doing it, and making sure that they have the same passion around, what the owner would want them to do. So having a referral champion is really important as well.
Yeah, so you're gamifying it against the industry and internally as well. Yeah. Sneaky. Yeah. I like that. You did bring up a good point there before too, and it brings up a question in my mind is, do you see different lead sources, like, your internal organic paid per click campaigns, or your TV or radio, whatever it might be, modernized, right? Do you see a differential in the type of homeowner that's willing to give a referral from different channels, or is that data? Do you have access to that type of data?
Not so much. What we share is, where the referral comes in versus, a traditional lead, right? In the funnel, in the sales funnel. Mm-hmm. Your PPC or your bought lead is always coming in at the top of the funnel, right? And it's working its way down to the bottom, where a referral is going to come in at a much lower portion of the sales funnel, to where that's going to convert at a much higher rate. And typically have less competition at the table, and be a higher value. So those things combined are some data that we share with our customers to really get them to think how they can go about getting more referrals and the importance of it. And as far as the customers are concerned, what we find is, the happier and easier the process is from start to finish, the more likely they are going to refer. Right now, there's a reward component that's built into it, which is a big component. We do have companies that utilize affiliates per se, not just their customers. So they're going out to real estate agents and saying, "Hey, do you know anybody that needs a new roof, windows, doors, solar? Send us a referral." We have one company that has over 20,000 real estate agents that they use across the country to get them to send referrals. And it's amazing that you can build out this network of not only customers, but affiliates as well.
That's actually a point I wanted to bring up, because a lot of times what I talked about with my customers is like create adjacencies, right? So what are adjacent industries that all together kind of make up the home improvement, right? And realtors, right? I mean, it's huge. People that work in title companies here in Texas, you have title. You don't have attorneys, right? So right, it's all different across the country, but so that's a good point, right? So you could use this platform as well to use for people in adjacent industries and affiliates. So that is a powerful thing. I did want to restate the question that I had. Obviously referrals, we know that that's going to be your best bang for your buck, not only, but in terms of kind of customer experience and closing for your salespeople. But I mean, I guess because you hook into the CRM of your customers, right, of that contractor, they would have the ability then to see how that specific lead source multiplies into different referrals, right? That's what I was kind of getting at. Do you get that data, and do you see if there's any particular lead sources that multiply better than others, or does that matter?
We haven't tracked it to that level, because we obviously are integrated with their CRM, but we don't pull the data from their other lead sources and such. So I think that's a great, question that we can kind of start asking some of our customers, to provide us that detail on, of the leads that are, not referrals, how many are now, where are they coming from, right? Are they what type of lead were they originally? And I think that's a good another data point that we can start to look at.
Because maybe, there's a way to optimize against if even the type of referral that you're getting, where it comes from somebody that isn't, particularly brand, they don't have a brand identifier, but then they're referring someone to a brand. How does that work, right? Is there change in the psyche, right? I would just love to know more about that. I'm a data nerd. So.
I'm wondering if you guys have any stats that support the velocity of which referrals close, right? Like, I mean, I would make the argument that, or at least I would think, right? Like maybe the sales cycle gets compressed a little bit due to some bias towards the contractor that they're reaching out to, or from that referral. Did you see any data that supports, hey, your sales cycle is usually 90 days on a marketed lead, and every time you get a referral, your sales cycle is 20 days and your contract price is 50% higher? Is there anything that supports the size of the job or the velocity of the sale?
I think the sales velocity one is a great point as far as, getting another data point for us. We haven't dug into that one as of yet. Yeah. So I think it's a data point that's something that we're going to look at. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's important to say that here is the average days that, and we can pull this data in our system. Here's the average days from when a referral comes in to when it's actually closed, and then match that up against industry standards for other types of leads. And I think that's a really powerful, component for a contractor to know, right? Because it affects everything else within their whole structure of sales process and such. If they know that a referral is going to close within 20 days versus a PPC lead or something like that closes in 40 days or whatever that average is, it's going to incent them to really want to, get more referrals, right? So all those data points, I think, are really important. And, as we gather more information and more leads, I think certainly we'll want to have that as well. So I think it's a great suggestion, Chris.
Yeah, I can see some practicality too. I mean, I'll make your life harder for the future here, but I mean, it seems as if even if you get within a high degree of confidence that you can predict as you market towards customers you've done work for, when those referrals typically will come in. Well, like when you could exhaust a certain percentage, hey, we typically will receive a referral within, 21 days or X days from the touch point, if you will. And you could probably get to a point where you could, at least once again, within a range, predict what percentage of those should close and the average job size. But I think one of the nice things about that too, and I'm always big on finding ways to use the energy in a positive way, but the reason we all love referrals is they close at such high rates. I mean, that's, whether the job size is larger or not, the value is it closes really high. And so when I think of that, I think of, well, okay, great. Well, how do you repurpose that in a positive way? And look, at the end of the day, we're all companies that are training salespeople. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs a layup before they can hit the jump shot before the 3-pointer. And so if you can have more predictability within when you'll get those referrals and strategically put them in the hands of people that need that confidence booster, I mean, the amount of sales morale that you could cultivate and get those people those early wins that are necessary to even give them that traction. I just see such practicality if you can more surgically kind of pinpoint it at where it should go. So just a little food for thought there.
Yeah, no, I love it. Data is king, right? So as we continue to grow and gather that data, is how do we present that to our contractors to make them more effective, right? More efficient and effective. And not only just referral business, but overall as business. I like to share, other ways that we can help them as well. So we try to really educate our customers on a lot of different levels as we start to work with them. And, it's not all about us, right? So we really want to be able to help them in other ways. And I think some of those points that you brought up are really important for us to be able to identify. So.
Yeah, Jamey, I love that. I mean, that's where we share very common value set, right? I mean, that's why we're doing this podcast partially, right? I mean, yeah, it's good promotion, but at the end of the day, I want our contractors to learn something and take something valuable so that they can then turn and give homeowners a better experience. I mean, a lot of us on the call are homeowners, right? I mean, we've all been there, right? There's a national shortage of installers. It's hard to work with a lot of contracting companies, there's so many things that I think are missing from this equation. And if we can do our part to help out every person that we interact with in the industry, then I think it's going to be better for everybody. And there's so much there. There's so much kind of meat on the bone, right? So I love that stuff. A couple questions that came to mind as you were replying on the last one is I just kind of want to understand what type of ramp up, what type of adoption period you typically see with the contractors and various businesses. Like, does it matter if you are a $2 million shop versus a $20 million shop? Do you see variances there?
So, I mean, obviously the $20 million company, what we have seen on a regular basis is the companies that are more sophisticated when it comes to, marketing and tools and technology are going to have a quicker ramp up. The smaller companies, what we really drive home there is, although they're going to have a lot of other things going on in their day, they need to make this part of the process. And so, the smaller shops where they may not have a marketing director, the owner needs to get involved. And we have some great case studies from small companies to large companies, to where, the single owner or the two-man shop have had tremendous success with the platform and actually made their life a lot easier. And some companies actually even use it as their own CRM tool. They don't even have a CRM. They use us as a CRM tool, which is not the primary reason why we do what we do, but it gives them the tools at their fingertips, and it allows them to ramp up pretty quickly. What we typically will see is, we always say, give us 90 days, and then you're going to start seeing, because it does take some time to get the people out there. They're going to see referrals start coming in right away, but those are probably organic ones you're going to get anyway. But to really start to see that ramp up to where you're getting, 30, 40, 50, 75% more referrals than you had in the past, it's going to take you, 30, 60, 90 days in that thing. And we're there with them all along that launch period, and really keeping an eye on things and helping them every way that we can.
Right. It sounds like it takes a more of a holistic approach, if you will.
Yes.
It's got to be a cultural shift.
Yes.
But with that, you have technology that's managing the cultural shift, right?
Yeah, it's the educational part, right? It's training and education. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I use another term I use. It's not a plug and play. And I'm not afraid to say that. It's not, you buy our system and plug it in. It's not going to just generate referrals for you. It's the cultural shift. It's the integration with your team, getting them excited about it and getting everybody involved. So that's where you're going to see your greatest return.
Right. I love the idea of operationalizing and automating every step of the process where there's traditionally human involvement and human error.
Right.
So the more that you can do, have a telephony system that hooks in with your CRM, scheduling system that does those types of things, like anything that you can automate, to me is great, because then it takes, taking a step back, we're both kind of consultants, right? So when I talk to contractors or anybody in operations for any contracting company, I talk about the Pareto Principle, right? The 80-20 rule. Right. And so a lot of times your revenue is 80% of your revenue is going to come with 20% effort. Right. But, the extra market share that you're trying to gain is typically going to come with 80% of your total effort just to get that 20% extra sliver. Now, wouldn't it be nice if you can then, instead of, going after that 20% really hard, like, you're going to do that anyway. Right. But what if you could expand your base on that 80 percentage point revenue that you have with that 20% effort and reduce that even further and kind of flip the script on the Pareto Principle? So I see the operational aspect of all these systems kind of playing a huge part of that, right?
Yeah, just tying it all in together and working with, the technology that's out there. Don't be afraid of the technology. And that's what some folks are. I got pen and paper, and, don't be afraid of the technology. It's so critical to have it, and it's going to pay big dividends once you start using technology to your advantage. It's ever changing, and just an incredible, opportunity to help grow your business organically through the great, experiences that your customers have, right? Because companies work so hard to be good at what they do, right? And, mistakes are made all the time, right? But when you do it right, you want to take full advantage of that right thing. You want to get the review. You want to get them talking to you. You want to get the maybe the case study, whatever the case may be. You really want to utilize whatever you can in order to, make that experience not only great for your customer, but for your company. So.
Hey, Jamey, I was going to ask you for a contractor that is, mulling over, do I do a referral program for myself? Do I hire a company to do it? What would be like your one point of man, however it comes about, this is why you should do a referral program. If you're not doing it today, this is the one, I guess, your one piece of propaganda that would motivate somebody to say, you know what, enough's enough. I need to be playing this game. What would that be?
I'll just give you my personal experience, right? So when I had my solar company, we were doing about 25% of our business was coming from referrals, okay? Which is great. Most companies say 25% coming from referrals, excellent. Once I implemented the program and really started focusing in on our customers, 8 months later, because we have a case study every kid, 8 months later, 70% of our business was coming from referrals. I mean, that's a tremendous amount and we grew 10% year over year. So we were growing and we're getting more business. And to Dom's point earlier, that money can now be used to generate more opportunities, whether it's buying more leads, going to the bottom line, whatever the case may be. Some of those dollars can be shifted. So if you're not doing it, I highly encourage you to then have a mechanized system in order to really drive that word of mouth, because it is a tremendous, tremendous opportunity that's out there for you. You don't want to miss out on it.
Yeah, Jamey, thanks for that insight. It's I think as the home improvement industry, in my estimation, is kind of following the same path, just maybe a decade later than the car industry. Everything was pen and paper. It was all manual follow up. All that stuff was just very manual. And now people buy cars online, and people don't even step into a showroom. You go pick my car up from my house, trade it in right then and there. It's it behooves, I think, the home improvement industry to really get on board with technology. And if there was any area that I feel is significantly lacking in the industry, it's really adoption of these technological solutions. Yeah. That it's just, in the end of the day, it's going to make your life easier. It's going to allow you to spend more time with the homeowner and not worry about all those other things that are just, you got to block the periffs, as we would say, right? You just focus on the customer experience. It's a nice thing to have, to not really have to be pushy, and to make it really easy for a homeowner just to give you more business.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
It's so true. And it's out there. It's waiting for you. That business is waiting for you. Just go after it. It really is. So.
Well, Jamey, thanks so much for your time here today. I think that's a good place to end it. As always, every guest that I have, I feel like we could talk for hours. Especially since we're both Lawrence Taylor fans, we can roll out 5-6 forever. But yeah, again, thank you so much. Hopefully we can swing back around post-COVID, get you down to the Austin office in person, or maybe I'll visit you in San Diego, because I do love that beach. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, as always, thank you for being here with us, and to our listeners out there, we really appreciate you. Hope you're staying safe. But before you go, show some love to your favorite podcast by leaving us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. See you next time.